much. I have to start off by admitting we're not doing anything to fight invasive species, nearly to the extent that what Ernst and everyone else are doing. Good afternoon, everyone. As an reward for you being here in the graveyard shift, I promise I'll be done way before my 15-minute time slot is over. The Stellenbosch Trailfund launched as a very small community volunteering program just over 10 years ago. Our efforts quickly expanded into many activities, one of them being taking stewardship of almost 5 kilometers of the Ernst River, which flows through town. Our main focus is on all the hiking, biking and running trails around Stellenbosch, mostly on municipal land. And our broad aim, I suppose, is to help grow the ecotourism economy in Stellenbosch and to make sure that we have a world-class trail network that both us as locals and visitors can enjoy. Our whole management team are volunteers, and we are entirely dependent on donations from trail users and a few corporate sponsors. We are very proud about the work that we've been doing as part of the River Stewardship Program. We have a dedicated team solely focused on working on this almost 5 kilometer stretch, where we constantly clear alien plants, pollution, general waste, etc. We also, with partners like Wildlands SA and some local community members, actively ensure that many new indigenous plants and trees get planted along the Ernst River. You can see there well over 70 trees have been planted over the last few years. We play a very active role in the broader trails community. First and foremost, we have a very strong and healthy relationship with the municipality. We really focus hard on creating jobs and upskilling people. Over the last 5 years, we've built up our own trail building team, and with the help of partners like the YES program, which are also here, we also employ another 9 students to work in our team and to build up skills. Also proud to call out the Ernst Valley Community NPC Etienne is here. It's a recently formed community initiative in Ernst Valley, formed by a couple of young, ambitious entrepreneurs who really see the ecotourism potential in the broader Ernst Valley Nature Reserve or nature area. I think it's unfortunately fair to say that area has been hugely neglected over the last few years, and we work closely with their team to help them build up their own resources and capacity to have trail building, trail ranging and tour guiding teams operating there to help uplift the local community also. And then I think it's also fair to say that all the various stakeholders in the trails community can and should communicate and collaborate a lot more than what they've been doing up to now. With the help of the Community and Protection Services Department of the municipality, recently a new forum was formed where the likes of Ernst and the Friends of Stellenbosch Mountain and us and many other trail builders can now meet, share our concerns and work towards our priorities in future. Obviously, some people would like to see only trees and flowers growing on the mountains. Others would like to see a million more mountain bike trails, and we need to find each other somewhere in the middle. Our trail network that we look after is just over 50 kilometers of cycling and running trails, all the way from Montmarie Farm on the south through Paradijskloof and the Eden Forest, G-Spot, Pitsenburg, Land, and then over to Botmaskop and Ernst Valley. And we have MOU in place with the municipality, where we are the designated partner looking after trail building and maintenance across all their trails on municipal land. What is exciting, just for those who do like to cycle, is that many of the various independent trail operators came together at the end of last year and said, how can we make it easier for people to ride all the various trails in the winelands without having to pay at every gate or get 5 or 6 different boards on their bikes? You can now buy one winelands regional pass, and you can cycle over 700 kilometers of trails from Paarl and Wellington across to France Route via Boschendal through Banhoek, all the Stellenbosch trails across to Helderberg Farm and the Somerset West trails. Again, helping very much to encourage eco-tourism and getting more people to enjoy the trails. A couple of things that I think are pertinent, and it's very much along the same lines as what everybody else has been talking about. Firstly, I'd like to highlight one thing. I think it's fair to say that over the course of the last 2 years, perhaps due to COVID and people having a bit more time at home, we've seen a massive increase in the number of people using and enjoying the trails out there, be it walking, running, cycling. Hopefully some of you have also started doing more of that. You simply need to go past Jonkershoek Nature Reserve on a Saturday morning and see the hundreds of cars being parked outside there. There was a very unfortunate situation in September last year where a couple was held up in broad daylight inside Jonkershoek Nature Reserve. And that gave us quite a big shock for trail people, because you intuitively think you'll be safe once you pass through an access gate. Situations like that obviously happen across the whole trail network, and as we see an increase in people using trails, I think we need to collaborate much better to ensure their safety. Like everybody else mentioned, alien clearing is a big thing. I have very little knowledge about the subject, but to me, just common sense tells me it poses a massive fire risk, and subsequent to that, when we have fires like we had last year, it takes months on end for that debris to be removed and for people to be able to safely get back onto the trails. I think Cape Nature's area of Jonkershoek is still closed for walkers. I mean, it's now almost a year after the fire, and that just shows you how important it is to proactively manage this so that we can all enjoy the outside nature more. I think we can do better also in terms of managing erosion. I mean, some of the mountain bike trails are technical, but the last thing you want is for the jeep track running next to the single track to be worse than the single track that you are trying to ride, and that's managing erosion. And if we have things like windstorms and so forth, and trees are being blown over, we often need to get them off the trails again to ensure people's safety. But let me finish on a positive note. We all know that we stay in a beautiful town. We have a world-class trail network, a world-class ecotourism offering, and Stellenbosch Trailfund looks forward to collaborating and working with as many people as what we can to help grow the economy, to help grow jobs, and to help grow the town's prosperity. I look forward to meeting you guys, because I don't know anything. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you very much. Ernst, I think daai woord wat jy gebruik het heel op die collaboration. That's the way that we want to go forward. Okay, we already have a hand up over here. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, Ernst. We've spoken on the phone. It's Lydia.
Hello, Lydia.
From Gouws. Yeah, I was just hoping to also introduce myself as a collaborator of Stellenbosch Trailfund since 2016. And someone you forgot to mention is Trees SA.
Yes.
Yeah? So, a correction on your slide. We planted 70 commemorative trees along the East River, but since Wildland started in Stellenbosch in 2014, in terms of rehabilitation work, we've done 12,610 trees that were planted back into the environment. And unfortunately, I also want to mention that the NRM's funding cycle has unfortunately made the Wildlands Stellenbosch project close its doors. So the thing I also wanted to just bring out is that in terms of alien invasive clearing and training, I would like to get more involved with STF again, because I'm doing it for other Trailfund Fund to start training the field operators and guides and anyone to, if they're interested, I can assist with training. So
thank you, that sounds fantastic. I will certainly take you up on it. Thank you.
There we go, another collaboration which is just budding, germinating here today. Any other questions? We have a question. Do we have a mic, please?
Hi, hello, Jan. Thank you for the presentation. It's nice to see the video afterwards. I like the regional network slide to show. It includes many other areas. The Botlerij Hills Conservancy, I saw there. But of Simons Park, Franschhoek, all of that. Idea presented to municipality in 2016, I think, was the Showing Stellenbosch initiative to create like a green route with its main aim to tackle inequality, really, and segregation of people in Stellenbosch. I think Stellenbosch is probably the most unequal town in the world. 6 of the 10 people in South Africa live here. I work in an informal settlement, but I can travel from the shack to a billionaire's house within 5 minutes. I'm fortunate to work in both areas. Have you retaken that idea up by the green route and linking all these sectors, all these different communities, through a more like a social, environmental, economic systems approach to address inequality, poverty, nature conservation, capacity, job creation, all of this stuff? I think it's a big question I'm asking. It's kind of a rhetorical question in a way as well, because I would very much like to participate in an idea like that with my colleagues, stakeholders, and road players. So,
thank you. I think it's a very pertinent point. Maybe to answer you in as short as possible way, I'm not sure who knows about the recently announced Trails SA project, which I think speaks perfectly to what you are saying. I mean, I'm an avid mountain biker. So I like all the red and the black routes, just to use your color analogy. But the vast majority of people would simply like to be able to go from point A to point B on a nice, even, flat road, whether it's for socializing, exercising, or actually just getting to work or school and back. And our town, I think if you look at the efforts that went into trail building, 90% of the efforts went into building technical, hardcore trails for avid cyclists and very few for general use. The Trails SA project, which was officially launched early December last year with a massive sponsorship from Imperial, absolutely aims to do just that, to connect villages, communities and towns with each other with simple, low-cost roads, which then also creates jobs, because even that simple, flat piece of road needs to be maintained after rain, etc., etc. Do yourself a favor, just those who haven't seen them. If you slowly drive or ride the Helswigte Pass, the main pass, you will every day see 2 or 3 or 4 rangers working next to the road, maintaining one of these Trails SA trails. They are actually also being helped by the Iris Valley community NPC there at the back. And the vision for that project, just as one example, is to create tens of thousands of jobs like this across the whole Western Cape. This was phase 1, linking now from Franschhoek to Paul to Stellenbosch. Phase 2 is to link Stellenbosch and its various communities all the way to Somerset West. And that will create permanent trail ranger jobs for loads of people.
There we go, it just comes together. I was wondering what they were doing on the side of the road all the way to France. Last question. Son.
Hi, Ernst. Very nice to meet you. Good luck out your work. I just want to know, is your focus on cycling trails, or do you also work on hiking trails? That's the first question. And the second one is, you spoke about this sort of one permit that you can buy for the entire wineland and something. Again, is that focused on cycling, or do you also look at hiking?
Thank you, Sandy. STF focuses on mountain bike and trail running trails. So we have not built any of the hiking trails that would go up in the mountain, etc. Because often that is not on municipal land and it ends up being on Cape nature land. I think in time it would make sense for us to go and explore that also. I also love running, so I'm very keen for us to make sure that we spend enough of our time on the running trails, especially Pittsburgh, etc., of which there are many. In that broad network that you saw there, though, a lot of that is also on private land, and for whatever reason, I mean, let's take Ernst, Stellenbosch, Dornier, etc. Many of those farms do not want pedestrians on their farms. Not for me to say whether that's right or wrong. So they certainly focus predominantly on mountain bike trails. And that's also, unfortunately, why this new permit is a mountain bike only permit. I'm very actively involved on that thing, and we plan to launch a similar running permit, which will obviously cost a fraction of the mountain bike permit's price soon, so that the Stellenbosch resident can have one armband around your hand, and that gives you access into Jonkershoek, Banhoek, Stellenbosch, etc., etc. And I'm pushing hard on that side, sort of Helderberg side, to get the guys to open up their farms more, not just for mountain bikers, but for runners. I have a feeling there will be less trail damage and all sorts of other issues happening with the running community as opposed to the more aggressive mountain bike community.